to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for your love, for your support. If you are new to the channel, you're welcome. And if you have not subscribed, like I normally say, what are you waiting for? I would appreciate for you to hit on the subscribe button. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It actually takes nothing for you to subscribe to my channel. Subscribe and then hit on the bell also to get an update whenever I upload a new video. And then please, if you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. It actually takes nothing. Just like the video before those of you that download, before you download or before you watch, like the video. Okay guys, so in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew a pinafore like. Why I say pinafore like, pinafores are the ones that actually have an inner, but this one does not have an inner, so that's what we're going to learn how to cut and sew today. It's a very beautiful pieces. I saw it and then I decided to make a tutorial on it. So guys, if you find it helpful, please hit on the like button. And then if you want to register for my online classes, which I normally run every month, you can just see my number scrolling through the screen. Send me a message on WhatsApp. I'll give you the details of the classes we have presently available. You can follow me on all of my social media platforms: Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Threads, all at Stylish Naija. Let's get started, guys. Straight. Actually, this design is by a designer, a ROTW designer on Instagram, Judify. That's actually her handle, so you can check her out. She's the original designer of this dress. So let's get started. Okay guys, so these are the fabrics that I'm going to be making use of for this tutorial. So I have my Ankara fabric here, so I'm going to be using about 2 yards of Ankara for the major part of the dress, and then I have my doll face satin, so I'll use about 1 yard for my fabric. So at the end of the day, the whole fabric that I'm going to make use of is about 3 yards of fabric. Okay guys, so before we continue, I have my pattern paper here. So this kind of dress, you actually need to do a pattern draft for it for you to be able to pattern it the way you want. Okay, so the measurement that I'm going to be making use of here are bust measurements. So this, I have some lines already on my pattern paper. So the first line I have here is my shoulder line, and then I have my bust line, my under bust line, and then my waist or the full length. That's the half cut length. So that's what this is, our half cut length. So and then I have allowance. Okay, so these are the measurements. So you can see our bust point is 10 inches. That's from shoulder to bust point is 10, and then from shoulder to our under bust is 13, and then our half cut is 16. So I added 2 inches to give me 20 inches. So the bust measurement which we are going to be imputing here is actually 34. So you divide 34 into 4, I'm going to have 8.5. And then the next measurement here, the next measurement is my under bust measurement, which is 27. I'll divide 27 into 4. We're going to have 7.85. And then the next measurement we have, which is our waist or a half cut, is actually 28 inches. So I'll divide that into 4. I'm going to have 7. And then the next other measurement is for the skirt part, which is the skirt, which is 36. So we'll come back to that later. So these are just like the basic ones for this. So the next thing we're going to do now, I'm going to be using a basic dress pattern. Is a simple process. That's what we're going to use for this pattern before we turn it to however we want to pattern it. Okay, so the next thing, I'm just going to draft the basic bodice here. So I came down by 1 inch. I'm going to draft my armhole, which is 8 inches, half of my armhole. And then the next thing I'm going to draft now. So for this, I'm not adding any dots. I'm not going to add the dots, so I'll show you. So the next thing I'm going to do now, take half of my armhole here and just mark it. The next thing now, we're going to impute our bust measurement, which is 8.5. So I'll take that 8.5, I'll mark it here like this. I'm going to put room for allowance. So that allowance, I'm using as much as 3 inches because I'll be able to manipulate everything that I'm going to be doing. Okay. And then the next thing, I'm going to impute my under bust measurement, just like I explained. So divided into 4, 27, I have 6.75. So I'll just approximate it to 7, and then I'll add my allowance. And then the next measurement that I'm going to add now is my waist measurement, which is like my half cut, which is 7 inches. And then I'm going to add my allowance also. So this same measurement, I'm just going to extend it down. So you can see it is a very simple, basic dress form without adding a dart. So I'm going to cut this out now, and then we'll start drafting, we'll start working on the pattern to achieve that look. Okay guys, so I finished cutting out. So I'm going to work with this measurement right now as I walk along. So you need to pay close attention to what we're going to do. So the first thing we're going to add on this pattern is the neckline. Okay, so the neckline that I'm going to be making use of, the wideness of the neckline, I'm going to use 3.5 inches for the wideness. That's on top this point. I'm going to have my 3.5 here. And then the length of the neckline, so I'm going to use about 6 inches width. That's the length. It's going to be 6 inches. So it's going to be 3.5 by 6. Okay. And then I'm going to use a square neckline. So I'm going to square that right now, like this. So we've marked our neckline. Now the next thing, now we're going to try to achieve that pattern on the front. That's that pinafore-like pattern at the front. So how we're going to do that, you are going to measure your clients, the chest area, how wide you want it to be, and then on the bust pan. So this is the bust line. Now this is our bust point, under bust, and then our waist. So if you notice them, the shape is not like straight, it's kind of curved. Okay, so now what we are going to do now, I'm going to come to this neckline point like this. So for this neckline point, I'm going to use the same measurement that I'm using for my neck width, which is 3.5. So at that point, it's going to be, okay, that point is going to be 3.5. So I'm just trying to mark it. And then on the bust point line, normally my bust point, that's my bust pan, is 8 inches, but I'm going to add 2 inches to it to give it that distinct shape. So when I add that inch, I'm going to have 10. So 10 divided by 2, I'm going to have about 10 inches. I divide by 2, I'm going to have about 5 inches. So just note what I'm trying to do. So this mark, I'm going to connect it to this point. So the same thing I have here is what I'm going to use for my under bust line also. So I'll keep marking it like this. And then when I come to my waistline, which is the down part, I'm going to reduce that point. So for that part, I'm going to use 4 inches. So I'm going to mark it like this. So that same 4 inches is what's going to go down. So for this, you can actually eyeball it and do it however you want to do your own, you understand? But just follow this pattern like this, and then you'll be able to achieve this. So I'm just trying to blend this into the neckline point. So you can see it is a very simple process. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to highlight my lines. So at the end of the day, this is what we have. So I have my allowance. So after sewing, by the time I take out my allowance, I'm going to have that slimness at the down. So this is just it. So the next thing now, we're going to cut this out, and then you're going to take a look at it. So here, so the first thing is for me to cut out the neckline. After cutting out the neckline, and then I'm going to cut out the side. So at the end of the day, I'll open it up and then check if it looks like what we have. So you can see that it looks like the middle part of that our that's the picture. So we're good to go. So the only thing that I'm going to add to this back piece, I'm going to add a zip allowance to my back piece. So that's also the next thing that we're going to transfer this now to our fabric. So I'll show you how to still cut it. So this one now, this I'm going to use the white piece, and then this is going to be my actual bodice. So for the dart, since I have a little bit of allowance at the down, so I'm going to hold my dart. So I can decide not to add a dart to it. So from this part, I can just contour this part and then use it for my dart. So for this, that's if you want to do that, you can do that. But mine, I'm not going to alter this center. So I'm just going to use it like a classic princess dart. Okay guys, so you can see I finished cutting. So this is the back piece. So the only difference was I added a zip allowance to my back piece, and then this is the back lining. So this is the front piece. So I cut out the side. These are the sides for both the back and the front, and then these are the lining for the back. So I'm going to show you how we're going to stitch this. So the same way we stitch, so I'll just let's leave the back piece on the side and work with our front piece. So the front piece, here is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to pad this dress. I'm actually not padding it. So and I need to mark it in such a way that so I don't turn everything upside down. So that's the top part of my pattern. I'm going to place it like this, and then I'll take two pieces from here for the front piece. So this is how it's going to stay. So I'll take this back to my machine now, and then I'm going to stitch it. That's just normal stitch. So the easy way for me to stitch this, I'm going to start stitching it from the down. So let me use this to indicate. So I'll stitch it from the down. I'll just stitch it like this, and then when it gets to this point, I'm going to stop, and then I'll do the same thing on this one also. I'll stitch it from the down part like this, and then once I get to this point, I'm going to stop. So I'll do the same thing to the lining, and then do the same thing to the back. So I'll do that, and then I'll bring it back and show you, so you see how it looks like. Okay guys, so you can see I have finished stitching, and it looks so beautiful. So I did a top stitch at the chest line. So if you know how to do a clean top stitch, it's not like the one that will be doing zigzag. So you can add a top stitch. So this is the back part. This is one part of the back. So you can see all of my pieces. So the next thing, so I've done the lining. So this is how you are going to turn it. It's a very simple process. So I'm using a black lining because of the skirt part. I didn't want to use white. So you place them like this, and then you stitch the neckline. Just stitch the neckline straight, and then stitch the side. So after that, we'll join the back and the front together. That's you place them and then join it. So I'll do that. It's a simple process, and then bring it back and show you for us to cut the skirt. You see, it's a very simple dress, right? I want you to just let me know in the comment section. I'm just excited. Okay guys, so this is it after ironing. So you can see it looks really fine and good. So the next thing now is for us to join them together. So I'll just take it back to my machine now. I'll join on the shoulder and then join the side, and then we'll come back and cut out the skirt. Okay guys, so you can see I finished stitching. So you see it looks really beautiful. This is the back, and then this is the front. So for the armhole, I've shaped my armhole, and then I've arranged everything. So the next thing that is remaining is our skirt. So for the skirt, I'm just going to use a basic straight skirt pattern. You see, it's a very simple process. So I'm going to cut with my Ankara now. I'm going to cut my basic skirt. So I'll put this and transfer and cut out the skirt now before we continue. Okay guys, so I finished cutting out my skirt pattern. So it's a normal skirt pattern like I said. So what I'm going to do now, take this back to my machine. I'm going to sew it and turn it, because I'm not doing an inseam finishing. So I'll sew like this and then turn. So it's going to remain only the waist part. So it's the waist part, and then I'll hold my dart. So I already have my dart, and then I'll join this. So I'll go and do that, and then I'll bring it back and show you. Okay guys, so you can see I'm almost done. So it actually came out. So I fixed the skirt, and then so you can see this is the back. So the next thing I'm going to do now, we're going to cut out the sleeve. So that's the next thing we are going to do. So I'll fold my fabric now and then we'll start. Okay guys, so we're going to cut out the sleeve now. So my round armhole that I'm using, I'm making use of 10 inches. So the next thing now is just a normal basic sleeve, but at the tip is going to open up a little bit. Okay, so I'm trying to fold my fabric, so we'll cut out. So you're going to determine how wide, depends on how wide you want the sleeve. So the sleeve has to be excessively longer than your normal sleeve. If you notice, it is a very long sleeve. So for this, just watch what I'm going to do. So for this, the length of the sleeve that I'm going to make use of, I will make use of about 30 inches. Okay. Or let me, because I'm going to fold it. So I'll make use of about 30 or 29 inches. Let me do 29. So this is 29 inches. So I've marked the length of my sleeve. So the next thing, I'm going to come to this top part like this. So I'm using my free hand. So I'll just come down by 4 inches here. I'll measure my round armhole. So my round armhole, I'm using 10 inches. This is 10. So I'll add 1 inch allowance to it. So that's there. So that's the 1 inch allowance. So I'll mark it like this. And then from this point, I'm just going to make a curve. I'll use my pattern curve. It's a simple process. So I'll just, if you don't have a pattern curve, you can use your hand. It does not mean. So I'll mark this into this part. So the next thing now, I'm going to mark how wide I want my sleeve. That's this part to be. I don't want that part to be too wide, even though it's not a tight sleeve. Okay. So for this part, I'm going to use about 8 inches or 9 inches. I'll do 9 inches. So I'll mark the 9 inches. So from this point like this, I'll come down by 9 inches. So once I get to the down part of my sleeve, I'm not going to use 9 inches. So towards the down part of my sleeve, I'm going to use about 11 or 12 inches. So I'll mark it like this. So that 9 inches, I'm going to mark the 9 inches to this part. And then I'll just connect this like this. And then from this part, I'm just going to like open up the sleeve. You understand? You can see what I'm doing. So you can see I opened up the sleeve a little bit, just opened it up. So by the time I put my elastic on this part is going to be open more than this part. So I hope you understand what I'm doing. Okay, I just wanted to be sure. So that's the sleeve. So that's how simple and easy. So for this, you can do it however you want it. Depends on how wide you want it. Okay. So the next thing, I'm going to cut out the sleeve. Before I cut out the sleeve, I'm going to mark where I want to add my elastic to. So my elastic, I'll add my elastic around 22 inches. So this is my 22 inches. So I'm just, so that I will put a notch. So the elastic is going to be here. So it's this part that is going to be open. So you can see. So I'm going to cut this sleeve out now, and then I will explain it more how to stitch it. Okay, so this is how we are going to stitch it. So it's a simple process. Okay, so I'll take this back to my machine. I'm not adding a line into my own sleeve, so I'll just hem the down part of my sleeve. So after hemming, I'll take my elastic, and then I'll just use my elastic to like just gather a little bit. So for the elastic, I'm just going to use about 7 inches or 6 inches of elastic, and then I'll stitch it on it. I'll just stitch it on it. So once I'm using about 7 inches, as I stitch, it's going to reduce. So I'll do that after stitching it, and then I'll join the sleeve together on the side. So I'll do that and then bring it back and show you. It's a simple process. Okay guys, so at the end of the day, you guys can see how our gown came out. It came out really fine. So for the sleeve, so I finished stitching and attaching it. So I just made a strap. So you can cut any strap, just sew it and turn it. So I'm going to attach it here. Just attach it on one side. So when you can just tie it when you put it on. So thank you so much. So the dress is a small size, so it cannot fit into my mannequin. My mannequin is very big. So thank you so much. Please like this video, and I will see you in my next video.